We should opposite. There we go.
And and if you hear the barking in the background, it's my wonderful dog, who just every noise, she thinks there's someone at the door. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if it's all set up for me to be able to do that. Can you guys see that?
Yes, you're good.
Great, 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 great. I am so happy to be with you guys today. I want to learn more about Reestablish Richmond. I have a, a, a closeness with the program in that Kate Ayers and I are getting to know each other, and many of our families that are working with the Excel program within the city of Richmond, there could be some overlap with our families, and I'm just excited to learn more about how we might intersect in the years to come. But I wanted to talk with you guys today about the use of purposeful play in the preschool classroom, and that is something that's a little different from what we may think of as just straight up play. And that I would love to have some conversation today. So I hope that you feel confident that you can speak up and ask questions, or make comments. I think we all learn that way, and I'm looking forward to that kind of interaction. So let's get started. Hold on, let me get the right, let's see if I can get my PowerPoint up correctly here. My oh, here we go. The box up at the top is covering where I can select. Here we go.
Cynthia, in the bottom right, there's a few icons. If you click the one that's second to the right, that should do full screen.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not. I know how to do this.
There you
I do
go.
this all the time, but I just had this box, for the Zoom, and
We
it was,
see it now. You're doing great.
yeah, yeah. All right. So, well, now it's not allowing me to move. What is that? Now I'm in trouble, guys. All right, let me stop sharing, see if I can pull this back up. I do this all the time, so this is unusual for me. Let's see if this will allow it. It's not allowing me to advance.
Have you tried the arrows
Yeah, I have.
and clicking?
All right, let's see. I can figure this out. It's not allowing me to advance it. Hold on.
If you want to email it to me, Cindy, and I can workshop it while you're
Yeah, I
trying.
think I think you're gonna have to do that.
Yeah,
Cynthia, in
let's
the
see.
bottom left, I see some arrows.
You see some arrows in the bottom left?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a bottom left once I'm in the share
Of your screen?
mode. It's not it's not allowing me to advance it.
I think if you just want to email it to me, I don't mind being your techie.
Yeah. You'll stay on with me then?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, hold on. Sorry, guys. Just give me a second here.
Well, Cindy is sending this. I can tell everyone. Excel does a lot of great work at elementary schools in the city of Richmond. And some of my favorite memories with Cindy were we had to design a situation where we could get really quality non-screen tools in kids' hands. It got really, really important during the pandemic because Richmond public schools was all screen for an entire year, was virtual school. And so we designed with Excel a drive-through parent pickup where we'd have bags of games and books for kids. Excel would bring that. And I worked in an elementary school in Richmond, and I would call every single family I could. And so we'd have 60 cars lined up. Sometimes the police would end up coming because we were stopping traffic, and we would be handing out materials. And they do it in English and in Spanish, which in my current role, we need to get some Pashto and Dari. But
All right.
everything that Excel does is bilingual.
Yeah. We've been doing this work for quite a while now. We're actually working with district-wide preschool and 3 elementary schools in the city of Richmond, K to kindergarten to 2nd grade. And there's always a real intentional effort to reach families in this work. We're supporting teachers, but we're also trying to be that bridge for school and home so that parents can build capacity and confidence and just feel empowered to have those conversations with their children's teachers about how their children are learning. A lot of times parents just, beyond the language barrier, they don't know how to ask the questions, or they sometimes don't know how to answer the questions. So we are trying to be that bridge and model for the school system and the teachers effective practices for true parent-school partnerships. So that's our goal. Have you gotten it yet, Amanda?
No, did you send it to rescue.org?
Oh, I don't know. I just sent it to Amanda. I'm so sorry. You guys, we're gonna eventually get here. Hold on.
Grab a cup of coffee and come back.
I sent it back to the email you just sent me.
Okay, it'll probably come in a second.
Yeah, it's a heavy photo video kind of PowerPoint. So some of the challenges that I would imagine that you tell me a little bit, give me a little bit of information about who you guys are. I'm assuming some of you are the caregivers for the children for some of the courses that Reestablish Richmond is doing. Is that correct? If you feel brave, please unmute and you can let me know. And then others are just interested in early childhood. I'd love to know where you're coming from.
Okay, so I'll go first. I'm from the African Community Network. My name is Nana Derby. I'm not a caregiver, but we do have a lot of children and the youth, and I believe that these presentations will help in our creation and designing of programs, especially summer programs for the kids in our communities.
Good, good, good. Has it come, Amanda? Isn't that strange?
No. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Anybody else willing to share?
Yes, hi. We're with the International Ministry of Ashland, and we run 2 English classes. And so we have childcare through that English class, and that's 2 days a week. So a total of 5 hours of time with the kids of the families that are in our English class.
Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry, you guys. This doesn't happen to me. So I'm a little
I see in the
flustered.
chat, Lavinia Moxie says, I do childcare watch for IRC English classes. We have a very small space to work with. I'm looking for ideas of how to help the children in small spaces. Thank you, Lavinia, for what you do for the IRC.
This is crazy.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
Guys, what to do at this point?
Amanda, you can keep it out of full screen if you want. I mean, you can just like scroll
It's not
down.
even moving out of full screen. It's just not advancing. I tried it in both ways. See, this is the working, and it's
Yeah, that's it. Can you click on number 2 there?
no,
At
it's
times
I did.
when
There.
Hey.
All right. All right, let's see if it's gonna keep Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I feel so embarrassed.
No,
Okay,
all good.
in preschool, more than really any other age group that I know, I think it's most important that we also remember it's not just what we are teaching the children, but it's how we're teaching them. It's how they are learning that really makes a difference for how much they learn, and that it empowers them to be lifelong learners. Because in these earliest years, that's our goal, is to help these little ones become lifelong learners, to be that confident, curious, tenacious, resilient, stick to it when it's hard learner. And often, a lot of times, we find ourselves without meaning to do it in preschool and early childhood. I'd say even these first years of elementary school, we teach facts. We expect children will memorize things, not problem solve, not have that kind of high level thinking to figure something out, just memorize the information. And that looks like it's working for a while until the problems and the task and the things that we have to learn about school and later life require greater problem solving skills, more creativity in our thinking. So it is important to remember how children learn and that we are thinking about how we're teaching. The perfect day for preschool children would include free playtime where they are choosing their own activities, and that's often what is familiar to a lot of us. That's what we call choice time or free time or work time, where they are moving around different stations in the room and they are interacting with the activities that are provided. But more importantly, I am hoping that there's a time where teachers are guiding the play. They have planned for a learning focus. They're subtly facilitating what children are learning by putting like targeted, purposeful learning materials around the room that encourage the discovery of the targeted concepts, and that they are true play partners who build on children's interests and really answer and prompt thinking and answer questions. Play partners are not in charge of the play, but they are truly partners in the play. Children are leading and teachers are facilitating. We know that we now have the children who will be in the workforce in 20 years. And we also have real specific skills that have been identified as needed for what's ahead, for work, for skills, for just success in life. And those tend to be that we hope these children grow to be good communicators, that they can share their thoughts, ask questions, present ideas, and really problem solve solutions, that they can collaborate with others. And we can see that in the early childhood years. Children can learn to work together in these first 8 years of life, where they are trying to reach a goal together, whether it's a play scenario or something to create or a problem to solve, that they are using what they know in order to work together. Looking at problems in a new way is what we think of as critical thinking, and that we are learning from, we're building on what we already know. We're linking other areas of our knowledge to the new problem in front of us, the new idea, the new thing to think about. And finally, the fourth C is we are creative thinkers, that we're okay thinking about new ways to approach problems, and that we can be innovative in our thinking. This is not exactly the same thing as we need to know the ABCs. We need to know numbers and shapes and colors. There are things that children do indeed memorize. It's what they do with those things. It's how we can structure our classrooms so that children apply what they know and that they are really building that approach to learning so that it sustains them for the harder learning ahead of them. If we think about play on a continuum, and that we look at, there are sort of three ways to look at play in the classroom. The first one on this continuum is that the child is totally in charge of the play. That's what that free play, they choose to go around the centers during free choice time in an early childhood classroom. The teacher promotes the play by making sure there's time for it and there's space, the classroom's organized so that the centers are there. The resources are in those centers, the materials are there for them to play with. But basically, the teacher observes the child play, the children play. It's more of an observation, and the child is totally in charge of what comes next and what they do. Then there's this idea that in the middle, there's a partnership between children and teachers. And so it's considered child and teacher directed play. Both the teacher and the children co-direct the play. The teacher is facilitating, meaning the teacher prompts thoughts or asks questions that extend children's thinking. Maybe introduce one little new idea and see where it goes within the play. They're not in charge of the play. They're not trying to do only what they want to have happen in that play, but that they are watching the children and building on their interests and playing right along with them in order to extend the learning. It's not just to be involved, it's to extend what happens in that play scenario. Then there are moments in the classroom that are more teacher-directed play. It's still fun for children. A lot of times it's very game-like, but the teacher has decided what skill or what the outcome is that he or she wants for the children. And the children do participate and they enjoy the activities that are planned for them, but they are not directing in any way the outcome. They have no real input into the outcome beyond just being interested, engaged, and interacting. I want to look with you now at some videos to see what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to show you a video, and I want you to be thinking, what do I see in this short little snippet of children playing in a preschool classroom that gets at any of these 21st century skills that we're hoping that we're developing in our young children. And remember, that involves that they can collaborate, they can communicate, they can have critical thinking and be innovative. There's confidence and there's content that they're learning within the play. Think along the lines of the continuum of, is it child directed? Is it child and teacher directed? Or is it teacher directed?
Do we need to be able to hear it, Cindy? Or
What?
can we get it? We can't hear it, but can we get the idea by watching?
Well, it would be, why can't you hear it? Because
Probably
shoot.
because you're not presenting. But I was just wondering, in this situation, we may be able to watch it, without, and it'd be better to hear their little voices, but
it would be better to hear it. Let me see if I can go out and just pull it up on YouTube.
your slideshow also came through, so I could try to present if you want, whatever you prefer.
Why don't you present? Then, because I've got several of these and it'll just take extra time.
Okay, you got to stop sharing so I can try.
Yeah. Yeah. And for you guys, while Amanda's pulling it up, this will be available. You can go back and watch any of these at a later date. Now you don't have, do you have the sound?
Amanda, you might need to unmute.
I don't know what the problem is, you guys. I've not had this before. I do a lot of trainings, not had this issue.
Okay. Apparently I was muted when I started doing that. Hang on. Whoops. Is it good now?
I hear it.
Okay.
Anthony, you find a green lady? What are you making, Anthony? Oh yeah! Wanna play with the large Lego too? Legos. What are you making? Oh, you're making big. Well, why don't you get on? You did it. Oh, go right there. No, do that. I was gonna make a house. Oh, how you do that? I'm not do that. You do that. Why you do that? You do that. My daddy car. My daddy car. A dead car. A dead car. Daddy car. My daddy car. My daddy car. Mama car. My daddy car. That's my mom car. That's my daddy car. My mom car. 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 My mommy car. My daddy car. My mommy car. My daddy car. Me, I want to
is the door to your house?
I got the door right here.
All right.
I got chairs up here. I got chairs up here. I got the chairs down here. Here. I got chairs right there. Uno, they fit. Mario.
Blue. Green.
And let's go ahead and stop it.
You need a plate, okay.
What kind of play do you think this was? Was this child directed or child and teacher directed or teacher directed?
Child directed.
And what makes you think that? What was it that you observed in that? It was about 5 minutes, maybe 6, 7 minutes worth of play.
Truthfully, it was just that theirs were the voices most prominent. That was what struck me.
Yeah. Yeah. The teacher had very little to prompt or say. She was observing. She was right there with them. What did you notice about how long it took for children to actually start talking to each other in any kind of significant way? Did it take a while? It did. So one of the things that we can do in preschool is to be a little more present with prompts in that kind of play, because ultimately the play is richer when children are talking with each other and actually working together. In the very first part of this scene, they were next to each other. They were building, but they weren't necessarily working together on any one thing. And then, as this is so typical of the way young children play, it does take about 15 or 20 minutes sometimes to get into very rich type of play. Let's go to the next slide. I want to just show you, actually, Amanda, to make up for the time that we missed in the beginning, let's go ahead. You guys can watch these videos when you go back into the resources from the conference. But let's go to the next slide. Let me see that video. I did 4 videos so that you could compare, but I don't want to lose a whole lot of time with that. Keep going to the next one, because there's one that I really do want to show.
So many things. This one, or you want me to go to the next one?
Yeah, go to the next one.
This one?
And I want, and just don't show a whole lot of it. Just show a little bit of it. But I want, and then we're going to watch the full 4th one.
Here we go.
This is a very typical scene in a preschool classroom.
Uh-oh, I think it's overflowing. That's okay. Oh, Mariah, do you want my plate? Get us inside like these? There you go. Okay. No, I'm not going to put it down. Okay, put it over to one side, okay? So we've got, do you need a chair, or are you doing okay?
Now, Amanda, you can stop this one. I'm going to narrate just a little bit. and then we'll move to the one I'd really like to showcase as very different. So this one is another one where teachers were there in the beginning, supported children in getting started. There's more talk in this one. Children are still playing separately while they are all together at the sensory table. They're doing their own exploration. They're not depending on each other for problem solving or thinking. So Amanda, let's go to the last video. And that one, this one, I want us to watch this one in its entirety. And I particularly want you to look at this list of 21st century skills to see where you think this is actually happening in a play scenario with these children, even at ages 4, 3s and 4s.
Goodness me. Goes all the way up and off the bridge. So now how do you get the rest of the treasure out? That was very fast. Right, so you've got this organised. So I wonder where you're going to put the treasure so it's safe. Ben, can you see what the problem is here? Have a look. If that bucket falls fast, look where Daniel's standing. Daniel, is that safe? No. So how can we make this safe? What do you think we need to do? Walk away. Walk away? How will the people know to walk around here, not to be underneath the bucket? What could we do? Make a fence. Make a fence? Okay, that would be a great idea. Shall we go and make a fence? You'd like to play in the game? Daniel, did you hear what the problem was? They're worried when the treasure bucket comes up and down. If you're standing close by, we're worried that someone's going to get bumped on the head.
Or the sharks or hookers might bite you.
They might. So Xavier's thinking of fence.
And then the shark might stay out.
Okay. Xavier, how can we make a fence, do you think?
Maybe at the making area.
Something at the making area? All right, well, I'll leave this down here. So they're making a sign that says stay behind the fence. Did you put your name on it, Hayden?
Yes, I did.
You glued your name on?
Yeah.
So are you ready for the words on your painting now?
Yeah.
Can you see what's happening to the paper? How can we fix that? Right then. Great job. All right, so stay away from the fence. Is that right?
Yeah.
So does that mean, Daniel, do they have to wait on the other side of the fence?
Yeah, on the other side.
Okay. Stay behind the fence.
I need it.
Reese, I wonder if those robots might be able to come and visit this area and do some helping. Are they fixing robots? I'll hold one while you make one work. Let's see this one here. Let's get going onto the card. What to do? Do the robots read, Reese, or do they need their controllers to do the reading?
I need the controller.
Do they? Okay, so if you're going to bring the robots over, you'll need to ask the controllers to read the signs. Do you know what the signs are saying?
Yes.
The signs are telling the people to stay behind the fence while the treasure is going up and down.
Yes, because the sharks might eat you.
What was different here? what did you see the teacher doing in this play scenario?
Hello, can I speak?
Yes, please.
I am a former early childhood educator, so yes, you saw the collaboration, the communication, bringing up the terms as safe. So definitely seeing the thinking right there. The creative innovation of all the things in the room, he chose the wooden blocks and he went forth like he already had the plan in his head where he needed to place the blocks and how to surround the area. Um, of course, having a print rich environment, not just that they painted a picture, she was also there to assist with writing some words. So again, pre-reading skills and confidence because of course like everybody who made a sign like yes I gotta put it right here, this is important. So yeah, I would say this one checks all the boxes.
Yeah, this was just truly a case of intentional, purposeful play because we saw that the teacher was extending the learning, wasn't she? The children could have been in that play area. Like most times, we have children doing free play and they are learning. We're seeing that they're exploring the materials, but the amount of learning that happened in that play scenario truly extended what would have happened had she not been there. And that's the whole point of this idea of thinking about our role in the day of children so that while we want them to have some free exploration, we also want them to have this kind of guided play because we can really prompt higher level thinking, more critical problem solving, and working together. Those children work together for a good probably 20, 30 minutes actually between discovering the problem about the safety and then creating a solution for making everyone safer. So I wanted you to see that particular video, and I have a whole lot more examples. If I'm assuming after the conference is over, they will provide my email address. I'm happy to share other resources that I have, but these are the kinds of this is the kind of work that I present to teachers who are in the field working with preschool children. So Amanda, let's go to the next slide. The key point that I want to make here is that playing and learning are not incompatible. Obviously, children learn through play, but purposeful play is not merely free play without objectives. Purposeful play can be, if it's used well, a powerful strategy that will increase the amount of learning that children are doing in these earliest years that ultimately impact their literacy, math, and science abilities throughout many of their later school years. It is truly creating the context for children to learn how to be learners. That's really what we want out of the preschool years, is to feel confident and have that sort of resilience as a learner that when it gets a little tough, I know how to deal with it. Let's go to the next slide. I want to show you just a couple of slides of ideas for how to invite children to play. Sometimes that's the way that you find out what they're interested in the classroom. And it's really a matter of just thinking, I wonder what the children would do if I put this out. I wonder what kinds of questions they might have or the ways in which they might want to use these things. And so I want you to just see the variety that I've pulled together here, from simple to more complex. That lower right-hand corner is just the different types of slime, just to see what children do with different types of slime. Often we'll pull one type of slime out for children to play with. This is just for them to compare. There's no direction that they have to do any certain thing with it, but it's just, let's see what they do with it, and then we'll build on that. The top middle, where you see a lot of the greenery, that's probably the simplest selection that I made, where there's really no particular outcome that you want from this. It's exploration. What would they do with just nature brought in? And then just place it out and see what happens in their way of thinking or problem solving. It's a little more directed in the top right, where you see the teacher has drawn outlines of shapes, but then allowed just different kinds of rocks and pebbles and gems. Let's just see what they do with it, how they decide to use those. There's some teacher sort of direction in that one. There's also a little bit of thought that went into the one where the Play-Doh is on the tray, but that what it provides for children are varieties right there for them to decide what they might do with that Play-Doh, what they might do with those noodles, and the different types of the pipe cleaners or those spaghetti sticks. Just whatever they'll do with it. And then finally, just that one in the lower left with the bottles, and just to see what they decide to do with empty soda bottles and things to fill, along with the dinosaur display in the middle. What will they do? What I love about that one is that books were included, so children will enjoy looking through the books. Let's go to the next one. Now this is really elaborate. This might be an entire area. I think some of you may have heard of something called loose parts, but loose parts are sort of a model in the early childhood field that if you just bring in lots of things that really don't have a lot to do with each other, and children discover ways to use them in connection, integrate the use of them in some way, there's a whole lot of critical thinking and problem solving that goes into that. What I particularly loved about this was the creativity of the teacher to use an old suitcase for the sand table, because a lot of times we don't have those expensive sand tables in our room. So this teacher decided to use an old suitcase and then put a few objects down in there for exploration. But the idea is to invite children into this space so that they can really explore, not just explore, but problem solve with, well, how might I use this with other things that are in the space, that they can examine things, they can come up with conclusions about what they think about those particular materials. And it all starts with us, the teachers, the adults, deciding, I wonder what they would do with this, so that you are just as unsure about the outcome as they might be when they first start using this, and see where it takes them. When you do this type of teaching embedded into your day, it's not the whole day, it's just a small part of the day. But when you embed this type of approach, it truly does encourage and prompt children to think at a higher level, to explore in a different way, because there's no right or wrong answer that you're going after, that you are truly trying to help them develop those skills of creative thinking, working together, feeding off of each other's ideas. And that's what we need as they go through school and then ultimately later in the workforce. Oh, I tried to advance the slide. Amanda, there you go. Would you guys like to see, I did include 2 short videos on supporting English language learners in the classroom. And then the next video is on cultural differences in children's play. And I would be happy to share those, or again, you can go back and watch these videos. What should we do? Somebody speak up what you would like.
I'm looking at our time at 10:18 and we're supposed to be totally done at 10:25.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I wasn't even told that. So, okay. So let's do the second one on cultural differences in their play. And we'll just watch a few minutes of it. It's just a minute, 2 minutes long.
These preferences reflect the values that they're being raised in. Children from a more individualistic culture may prefer to spend time alone. They may prefer to spend time doing competitive activities. They may be more caught up in individual achievement in smaller groups, maybe more exclusionary activities, whereas children raised in a more collective and collaborative culture may emphasize inclusion and play in larger groups and be less concerned with the competitive aspect. Another way that cultures differ is the level of expressiveness that's allowed, that's or encouraged. That for some children, some cultures, that restraint is very important, and learning to mask your feelings is a priority. Other cultures, it's to be very expressive. What may appear to be, sort of rambunctious or aggressive in one classroom may not be. Another way that play would vary is the roles that children play. If your child is being raised in the rural area, they may be enacting farming roles, taking care of animals, driving tractors. In a city, children being raised in the city may be driving taxis and buses and enacting those kinds of roles. Very often in suburban areas, you see lots of children being the soccer moms. They'll be driving cars and playing on their cell phones at the same time. You can also bring in cultural differences with books and puzzles and songs and learning words in different languages. If you have a book that represents another culture, don't just read the story and drop it. You can build around it with doing stuff in the pretend area. You can do art projects along with it. You can do songs with it. You should be sure to understand the cultures and not just the surface, as we mentioned before, not just the artifacts, not just the cooking, not just the clothing, but really try to understand the values of the culture, because that underlies a lot of the things that you might be bringing into the classroom.
I imagine that this is very true for the children that you're working with, is that understanding the cultural norms for them and how they are playing outside in their homes, in their communities. It is brought into the classrooms where you are working with them. Let's move to the last slide, and then I'll just use the last 5 minutes for any kind of talk or thought. One of the surest ways to invoke a play mindset in your children, even in the trickiest work, the hardest work, the more academic type work, is to have that play mindset yourself. I did do some research a while back on how teachers view play. And I do want to say that I think we have sometimes lost that mindset as adults and have forgotten how to play. And so that sometimes creates the perspective in the classroom for the value of play in the classroom, that the teachers are often the ones that are deciding how the play is going to take place in their room and how comfortable they are with the looseness of play. And so I want you to really reflect, if you are working with children, as to your own mindset about play. How comfortable are you with the concept of children playing in a scenario that sometimes feels loud and a little less than controlled, but is there learning going on there? Are you able to prompt and extend the thinking inside that play? And so I encourage you to think about your views on play and how much children learn in that context, because I think that will indeed alter, sometimes modify, how much time you devote to play in your classroom. A lot of us spend a lot of time on the circle rug teaching children from our voice to their ears, and there's less time for children to really be in the act of play. And so I just, as an early childhood person that's out there in a lot of classrooms, I want to encourage you to reflect on that for yourself. So is anyone thinking that they might have a comment or a question about this? And again, I do apologize for the technical difficulties in the beginning. I honestly don't understand why I couldn't advance my slide. So I'm sure there was a technical issue, but I'm sorry we lost the time on that. And it sort of threw me off a bit, but I'm happy to be a resource for you. And I'm happy to even follow up with anyone after this session is over, you know, in next week if you want to email me. So any questions or comments?
One thing that I know, I'm looking for the name up here. Lavinia does Child Watch for IRC. The one thing that I wanted to bridge between what you were sharing and what Lavinia was saying in a small space is I love the idea of an invitation to play. The examples that you're showing, and it doesn't always have to be like nature and super Montessori. It can be like with the things that are in the Child Watch room. But I think, and I have 3 children of my own, and what I can tell you is when their room is clean and everything's put away, they're more creative. And so I think I just wanted to comment to Lavinia. I think I'll put my email in the chat if there's anything I can do to make that room more conducive to kind of putting everything less distracting around, and then having one thing up to kind of encourage that play. Because one thing that I'll say is we are really a lot of times when people first arrive to this country, they've been through a lot, but they've also been through a lot of like bureaucracy, and they've been through a lot of waiting. And so their kids have been looking at phones. The little ones have been staring at screens. And so this play is just so, so, so crucial to spark their creativity, to get their mind going, but also to develop their attention spans. Because they will struggle in school if they don't have that attention span away from the screen.
Yeah, that's the persistence that we're missing. And I hear you when you think that it's children coming to this country are glued to their screens. But I have 5, 6 grandchildren right now that are glued to their screens. So it's happening.
Definitely not just for our newcomers. I'm just saying when they've been through, they've literally had to wait in lines. You know, I understand why mom is handling the phone, but
my grandchildren are merely on their screens because they don't want to wait in the grocery store, or they don't want to wait when they're in the car. So I think this type of play takes more teacher planning, but it is so well worth it when you see the outcomes of the quality of the interaction with children, in that whole idea of what are we going to do with this? How can we do this? Because they will struggle through some ineffective problem solving strategies, but they're learning how to problem solve. Any other thoughts from anyone? I hope this was somewhat helpful. It was a little disjointed from my standpoint, but feel free to go back and watch those videos, because they all of them are good. And I thought that because I wasn't sure of my audience today, videos are really that sort of for everyone medium. You know, they can watch, they can think, they can make decisions based on what they're seeing and hearing. And I feel like that was a way that I wanted to present some of the concepts to you.
I think you did an awesome job. And again, I feel that everybody who probably participated today, they probably took little nuggets, hopefully with them to be able to use in their positions.
Yeah. And I'm serious. I will help if you reach out to me with any kind of questions or thoughts about wanting to know more about how to do this kind of play. I am more than happy to help, because an hour is really not adequate enough time to really develop this. But I'm right here in Richmond, and I'm very available. So, and I think my email would be included with the presentation content.
Cool. Well, I think that wraps it up. Let us know if you have questions. I just put my email in the chat, and I think, like you said, Cindy, I think they'll share our information. But thank you for your time, Cindy. Always good to see you.
Always good to see you.
Thank you, everyone, for participating.
Thank you, everyone.